We're talking today with Peter Roskam, the new deputy whip of the Republicans in the House. And congratulations, by the way, on that new position.
Thank
I mean,
you.
well deserved. You've been in Congress for a good period of time here, and you're one of the leaders of the conservative PAC, I think. So I want to congratulate you.
Thank you.
The first question I have, of course, is over the budget. I mean, that is the biggest overhanging issue we have besides the raising of the debt ceiling. But I'd like to ask about the budget first. What are the things that the Republican Party is looking to cut?
Well, right now, what we've focused in on getting $100 billion out of this, the discretionary side of the budget. Remember, we're talking the continuing resolution, which sounds a little bit inside baseball, but here's the point. On March 4th of this year, the continuing resolution, that is the funding authority for the government, will expire. What we're committed to do is to take $100 billion out of the discretionary side of the budget for the rest of the fiscal year. That's never been done before. We've had a good dynamic internal conversation for the past several weeks among Republicans as we've been listening to our districts, and people have told us, we need you to concentrate on getting spending under control, and we have an expectation that you'll do it. So I will see next week when the House brings it up for a final vote, but it's going to be an open process so that members are allowed to offer amendments and so forth, and ultimately have an incredible conversation. But this, I think, is pivotal. And the reason is, November 2nd told us something, and that is the American public thinks we're overspending, which we absolutely are. You look at the numbers, 40 cents on every dollar is borrowed right now, and it's simply unsustainable. So in order to create an environment where our economy can thrive again and jobs can be created again, the federal government needs to back off the huge amount of resources that it's taking up. It's going to mean tough choices, but I think our generation is ready for those tough choices.
And one of those tough choices, of course, as I alluded to a second ago, was the debt ceiling. Where do you stand on raising the debt ceiling?
Well, I think it's incumbent upon President Obama to be willing to work with us. One media person not long ago said, are you so committed to your cuts in spending that you're willing to jeopardize the debt ceiling? And I said, you need to actually ask the question differently. The question is the administration and the majority in the Senate so committed to the failures of big spending that they're willing to jeopardize it? And I think that this $100 billion figure that we're moving forward on in this continuing resolution is a very good prelude for the type of fight, the type of real decision that comes out of tough choices that we have to make surrounding the debt ceiling and surrounding the budget.
Now, of course, the economy is still not doing well. We're not having jobs being built for this nation. We're losing jobs still. We have very high unemployment. One of the reasons for this is constant regulation, an uncertain atmosphere among investors and businessmen out there about regulations. And Obama came out with that big speech saying, "Oh, let's cut regulations." But really, I don't believe him because his entire government is set up with people that love regulation. The NLRB and the EPA and the FDA. I mean, they're all piling on more and more regulations. What does the Republican leadership want to do about cutting regulations?
Well, very clearly, just this past week, the House moved forward on a resolution telling the House committees to move forward and to go through the various agencies that they oversee as in their oversight authority and determine what regulations are in the way for job growth and job creation. Let me give you an example. I was walking recently on a tour of a manufacturing facility in my congressional district in Carroll Stream, Illinois. And I was walking through with the owner, president of the company, 70-year-old guy, walking through with his son, and he points at a production line. And he said to me, "Congressman, the smart move is for me to put $750,000 into this production line." To which I replied, "Well, are you going to do it?" And he said, "No." He said, Washington, now this is before the tax debate, but he said, "Washington, D.C. tells me I'm rich, and therefore my taxes are going to go up." He said, "I'm not a chump. I never really thought my health care costs were going to go down under the new Obamacare law, but," he said, "it is staggering to me how much they're going up." He said the regulatory environment that is having an impact on the credit markets, means that customers that need to borrow money in order to pay for purchases from me are not able to borrow the money. And he said, finally, I'm energy intensive. We've run through a manufacturing operation to get a lean manufacturing operation, but we still need energy. And this Environmental Protection Agency is saying that they're going to go ahead and move forward and promulgate cap and trade, even though they can't get it through the last Congress, which just tells you how controversial it is. So here's the point. Government regulations that don't do anything for safety, that don't do anything for common sense, and that sort of normal regulation that you would hope and expect, those extra ones are stifling creativity and are having an adverse impact on job creation. They have to go. So there's one element where the committees are doing their work. Another element, Congressman Jeff Davis from Kentucky came up with, I think, a very, very good idea. He's introduced the REINS Act, regulations from the executive in need of scrutiny. The REINS Act says if a federal agency wants to promulgate a rule that has more than $100 million impact on the economy, that rule and that rule alone needs to come back and be voted on up or down by Congress. Not put on the back of troop funding, not put on the back of some other program that must pass, but it should have a singular up and down vote, because it's been good enough for industry and job creators to have to deal with it, then it should survive the light of day. And I think those two things are real priorities for this Congress. Those two things I think are going to help us to focus on moving regulation that has an adverse impact on job creation.
And speaking of the idea of surviving the scrutiny of a proper legal law, that we have this idea of making sure that laws fit the Constitution, to cite where in the Constitution the power is given to Congress to make this particular law, whatever it may be. Where do you stand on that initiative?
Oh, I think it's a terrific idea, and what it is, look, the Constitution is a framework upon which everything is supposed to be built. No one is supposed to be operating in an extra constitutional way, and if you don't have the authority under the Constitution and the federal government is involved in it, then it doesn't make sense. It is by definition something that shouldn't be moving forward. So to have a continuous reminder to start this new Congress by reading the Constitution, by saying that any bills that are going to move forward have to cite constitutional authority, I think is a good touchstone about where we need to be as a nation.
Okay, and then a final question, because I know you have some other folks here that want to get to. We've talked about the federal, but let's talk about the state issues. Paul Ryan is quietly, we're told, looking into ideas of maybe allowing states to be bailed out because of their budgetary problems. Where do you stand on that idea?
Well, that's news to me. I actually don't think that's accurate. That he's working on that. So I don't want to speak for him, but I actually don't think that's true. States ought not be bailed out by the federal government. States have made decisions, and states need to figure out the consequences of those decisions. Because even if the federal government had the money, which the federal government doesn't, that never ends well when the consequences of decisions aren't dealt with by the people who made those decisions.
Well, thank you very much. This has been Peter Roskam, the 6th District of Illinois, and he's the deputy whip there up on the Hill. So once again, thank you very much, and we appreciate the time.
Thank you.